Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We really appreciate you being here today. We got a great show for you. On the show, how your kids can become white supremacists. Yes, it can happen. Also, a hilarious story about Devin Nunes. Remember him? Medicare For All being attacked by astroturfed sources. And Katie Pavlich. No other words necessary. We'll talk about Katie Pavlich in a moment. Yeah, so in the wake of what's happened recently, you may, with the Christchurch shooting and all, you may want to wonder maybe a little bit about how you can stop your kids from becoming white supremacists. Because it feels like, anything can just happen, but it just happened to all those who are online. People who are bullied, people who are just completely wacko out there. And you say, my kid's not like that. But is it possible that your kid there, sitting right next to you, if you're listening to this in the car, I don't know, if you have a kid, it could become the white supremacists that we all hate and fear today. So yeah, that's the question. That's the one I'm here to answer for you today, with the help of Megan Moravich-Wallard, who wrote an article about this on Lifehacker. The thing tends to be, she writes, that racists raise racists. Therefore, if you see yourself as a good person, raising your kids with inclusive morals, you would have no reason to worry that they'd grow up to be the sort of person who would march with white nationalists in Charlottesville. But it happens. And in the wake of yet another mass shooting, this time at 2 New Zealand mosques, parents across the country and the world are asking themselves, what more can we do? Being a racist yourself is not enough to stop the spread of white supremacy at the womb, as they say. And she is right. It's really not. If you're like totally good people with totally good parents can become white supremacists very easily through other influence, whether it's through their friends, whether it's through social media or online. Like, those are all things that's very possible. People say, it's just video games. I don't think it's video games. What I do think is it's online social media influences, people who propagate the stuff like that they know, and people propagate the stuff from leadership positions, like people like Steve King, people like Donald Trump, people who dog whistle to these people on the regular. So yeah, with social media and internet readily available to most kids by the time they're teenagers and often much earlier, you simply can't model good values all the time. White supremacists spread their messages via YouTube and social media and recruit kids slowly and steadily through online multiplayer video games. That's what she thinks. But personally, I'm sure there's like research links to it, but I don't know or have ever heard of anyone becoming white supremacist really through online multiplayer video games. Former neo-Nazis says white supremacists use Fortnite to recruit kids. This is the article that was linked to. This is from The Sun. So yeah, that's from Fortnite because let's see how it is. I guess because the white supremacists can talk to kids through it. Because that's the problem. That's a lot of people worry with Fortnite. Just you can talk to like pretty much anyone. Anyone can talk to you through it. So it's a little creepy. But you can even obviously mute them, or you can mute yourself so you don't have to like respond or whatever. But yeah, that's a little kid Fortnite stuff. But back to the broader point is, it's not realistic to think we can stay one step ahead of our kids with their access to technology. They can get around our parental controls, our trackers and monitors. They're not a bad start though, because not all kids are hackers that can get around parental controls. But if you feel it necessary to put it on, then yeah, sure, I guess. But again, most kids probably wouldn't. But again, if you see, you just have to be always check in on, just have a good idea about what your kid is doing. Because in this kind of world, there's so many bad influences out there. There's so many ways you can fall down that dark rabbit hole of neo-Nazism, white supremacy, and then you could have your kid out marching in Charlottesville, doing God knows what with a gun at a mosque or whatever. You need to find out a way to stop it. So, yeah. Start early with messages of diversity and inclusion, says Ginny Spiegler, the director of the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. So listen, there's this awful thing called white supremacy. This is what you want to. This is what you're not going to have happen. You sit your kids down and say that without ever having a conversation about race, ethnicity, or diversity. Those discussions need to start much earlier, she says. As early as 3 or 4 years old, you can use children's books, TV shows, everyday experiences to talk about identity, race, and importance of including all people of colors and backgrounds into our lives. Then, by the time you're 8 or 9 years old, you dive deeper in the history of racism, religious bigotry, or intimidation. Talk about examples that of these, not just from the distant past, but from current events as well, so they can become aware of the existence and the ability to identify them on their own. Perhaps the worst thing we can do, Spiegler says, is ignore bigotry when it happens. School or community leaders might be inclined to believe that one racist incident, such as a group of students making what appears to be a Nazi salute, is not representative of who they are as a whole. How schools deal with that, she says, it really sends a message. Sometimes schools want to say it's an isolated incident, but they don't take it on and say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that's definitely a great point, because the thing is, the really, really tough thing is, you can literally be the best parent about that. You could do all those things I just read from this article. But when your kid gets online, when your kid gets on YouTube, and when your kid starts watching things, it could just be a runaway train. And the cool thing to do is say whatever mom or dad says, oh, that's stupid. Especially when you have your friends around you, and they're all saying oh, that's so funny. But again, it's really, again, on the other hand, it is kind of a fine line between what is a joke and what is actually racist, and you really have to recognize the signs and not be too overarching on that, because I think the danger is when you become too overarching, when you start taking away YouTube or whatever, that only increases parent-kid tensions. But you just have to make sure that what they're doing is, if they're doing something wrong, you can explain why it's wrong, why it's bad, and say, you know what, if I've you just gotta show it. I really believe in the parental philosophy, if I may. Show, not tell. You just actually have to show why it's wrong. I think that's a really kind of effective way of saying it. But yeah, and there is a lot of, sometimes cultures in the school, people tell racist jokes, especially if a school is all white and there's no other minorities around, so they don't really understand the culture at all. So it's also important to hear how they're thinking about it. Otherwise, it'll shut down communications. Hear what young people are also thinking before we get into a rant. It's important to convey your values, but also keep communications open. If you find they have views that contradict your own, you can question their line of thinking without immediately putting them on the defensive. Ask, why do they feel that way? Where did they learn that? And why do they trust that source of information? That's a good point. Then you can begin to learn together. I do agree with that. It's very, very important to keep communications open, find out why they're doing what they're doing, and then you can really kind of explain, okay, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not okay. Yeah, so that's probably where I'll leave it, but it is it's an important point. Important point. Please, for all of us, for the sake of any parents out there who may be listening, keep an eye on your kids. Don't become white supremacists. Keep an eye on your grandkids even, but again, don't go too crazy. Be reasonable. Be reasonable, folks. All right, so yeah. All right, so California Representative Devin Nunes, we're getting back really into politics now. If you remember him, he was a former chair of the House Committee on Intelligence and is incredibly dumb, so it's kind of ironic. He's now suing Twitter and a bunch of people who created accounts making fun of him for $250 million. Because this was extremely poor thought-out plan, Nunes' crusade has an unintended effect of drawing exponentially more attention to those Twitter accounts. So two of the accounts that Nunes is suing are at Devin Nunes' mom, an account pretending to be his mom, and at Devin Cow, pretending to be his cow, maybe? I don't know. While the LA Times reported that Devin Nunes' mom has been suspended already after Nunes' actual mom complained. That's so Devin Nunes' mom. I don't know Devin Nunes' mom, but if I know Devin Nunes, that's what Devin Nunes' mom would do. So, yeah. On the meantime, Devin Nunes' cow is taking off. Devin Nunes at Devin Cow, go follow it, has jumped from around 1,000 followers to 134,000 since the since about when was it? I checked yesterday afternoon. So there is literally now about 3 billion stuff. 3 billion new accounts. So yeah, there's Devin Nunes' dad, Devin Nunes' grapes, Devin Nunes' mom again, Devin Nunes' farm, Devin Nunes' ass, Devin Nunes' mullet. Like, so again, it's just so buffoonish, this story. He sued a cow. He literally sued a cow. In addition to the two accounts, Nunes is suing Liz Mayer, a Republican political activist, known for her own horrible tweets. Mayer declined to comment on the specifics of the case. Nunes told Shanahan he plans to file even more lawsuits, saying, quote, "We have to hold these people accountable because if we don't, our First Amendment rights are at stake here. Oh my gosh. How is it possible that I get me attacked relentlessly hundreds of times a day by fake accounts that Twitter claims in their terms of service should not be there?" Like, dude, just if you can't handle it, if you act like a buffoon all the time and you don't expect to be made fun of, like, you can just literally just log off Twitter if you can't handle it. Like, you act like a buffoon literally 24/7. At least you did when you were in public life. I don't even think he's a representative anymore. But yeah, he literally could just log off. It's not that hard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lost his election or retired or something because he's from California. Is Devin Nunes in Congress? It's a live show Google time, as we know. But yeah. So he is. Let's see. He is. Let's see. Yeah, he's still in office. Okay, that sucks. Yeah, so that's kind of he's in the 22nd district now, but he still is he's a ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. So yeah, he's on the other side now, but he's not doing he can't really do any stupid stuff anymore because he is out of the fray. So that's a good sign. All right, we now turn from that buffoon to healthcare. Interestingly enough, where the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future is a lobbying group dedicated to fighting single-payer and even public option health plans, formed by the biggest players in the health industry, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, health insurance, among others. We don't really know how much money they have, but one of their members, the pharma trade group PHRMA, raised $456 million last year alone, so it's probably literally tons of money. Like, if you put it all together, it's like 2 tons. If you like, there are a lot of PHCF press releases, which are pretty frequent. Every so often, they'll highlight the voices throughout the nation with the recurring feature of what they're saying, collecting Medicare For All letters to the editor of PAHCF, because that's the only thing normal people do. Yeah, like let's go interview our local let's go send a letter to our local pharmaceutical company lobbying group. Well, yeah. Have you ever done that today, Beth? Like, you want to go send the letter to the editor yet? Like, no, they don't get any letters to the editor. Unless letters to the editor are from people posing to be, like, middle-class Americans, but are actually, like, literally in the office across the way, sending one over. That's the only likely scenario that's actually happening. The strong implication that these voices are somehow representative real Americans who feel who fear Medicare for All and not just the talking points of an industry-sponsored group. So this is from Mustafa Tamiz, a businessman in Texas, also a businessman who probably works down the hall. Yeah, so I think what we have to do is improve what's working with the ACA and fix what's broken before we try to change the system all over again. We have to have a better partnership with the public sector and the private sector. I think solutions lie there. I think the solutions lie there rather than all the solutions are with the private sector or all with the public sector. Anytime you see strong public-private partnerships, that's what you find. That's where you find the most efficiency, rather than putting it on one or the other. So yeah, that seems like a pretty pro healthcare industry take. And PAHCF describes Tamiz as a businessman. So Tamiz here, he simply isn't a businessman. Shocker.